guys, how's it going? So today we've got just a few small sort of random projects to work on. We've got some repotting to do here in the greenhouse. We'll start with that. I need to water the studio. We've got some plants in there that are just like screaming out for water. And then I would like to go inside and bake some orange pound cake. I found a recipe that looks really good. And typically when I'm doing anything cooking, I try to keep it garden related, like I've grown this crop or, you know, that sort of thing. And I do have an orange tree, but there are no oranges on it. So we're just gonna have to pretend that those oranges came from that tree, even though it's a blood orange tree and I'm not using blood oranges. Also, we have to pretend that that orange tree doesn't look like it's about ready to die. Hopefully it doesn't. We recently moved it and the leaves have kind of turned yellow and they're kind of starting to fall off. However, citrus tend to do that whenever I scoot them around or whenever they're subjected to like something different than they're used to. So I'm hopeful that even if it defoliates, it pushes new leaves. We'll see. Everything else is doing great. We could make a lemon pound cake for sure. I wonder if you could even sub in lemon, like all the lemon zest and lemon juice for the orange juice. You probably could in this recipe, but I want to go the orange route. So anyway, we are going to do that together when we're done with our outside chores. First thing I need to do is count how many grasses we've got here so I know how many pots to go grab. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, there's some carrots down in here too. 8. Looks like there's 8 grasses, and they're a little bit larger than a 4-inch because they had already started to root out. So I'd really ideally like something this size. And I don't know what we're gonna find. We're gonna go scrounge around together. We're gonna start here in the white barn, see what we've got, and then we might have to run out to the red barn. I know that we've got some at least gallon-sized pots in there, which those would be great too. Oh man, I got stuff to clean up in here too. Okay, if you look up here, you can see we do try to keep a lot of containers that we go through because they come in handy. I see a couple up there that might work. Oh, wait a minute. I'll just use the ladder I got out yesterday. Yeah, we've got some gallon-sized ones, but how many? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Need one more. You've got to be kidding me. Come on. This they would fit into, but they wouldn't have very much room to grow, so I don't know about doing that. Although at this point of the year, like even in the heated greenhouse, it's not hot enough to spur on much growth, so they'll probably just sit there anyway and not do a whole lot. I'm gonna grab one of these just in case I can't find anything else. I'm not going all the way to Red Barn just for one pot. We need to spend some time out here too, you guys. That is on my list. We reorganized this last winter and it's been great. I love how it's reorganized, but you can see what I do. Geez, I come in here and I'm like, oh, it's not convenient to reach back and, you know, pop the pot back where it goes. So what do? I just stack them all in willy-nilly piles. God, why am I like that? Okay, we're gonna go with these. All right, we just planted our pansy and viola seeds yesterday, and I had a little bit of the seed starting mix left over, and I'm just gonna mix this in with the regular potting mix. I put this over the top of any soil I have left over because the cats like to hang out in here. Douglas sleeps in here at night because it's nice and warm, and he's got a nice cushy chair and fresh water in here. But Russell and Douglas both hang out here in the daytime, and I don't want them using that as a nice fluffy litter box. But this is what we're gonna use right here, mainly. I wonder if I will only need one bag. I don't know. We'll start with this. Oh, it's nice and moist because I have these all laying on the ground underneath where I had all those mangaves. So every time I watered the mangaves, if there was excess water running out, it would run onto the bags, which keeps the soil nice and moist. I'm also going to just use these nitro gloves that I used yesterday when we were doing the soil mixing, because these are the only gloves I have in here. Boy, they're hard to reuse though, aren't they? Oh, there we go. Get them on. Oh, perfect. There we go. Okay, so I'm not going to have to do any roughing up of the roots. I don't think of any of these because they just kind of got roughed up when I pulled them out of their spots. So we'll put a little soil in the bottom, pop our grass in, and then just backfill around the edges. This makes me feel so good for these plants right now. I just keep walking by them thinking, oh, I gotta do that, I gotta get that done. Well, the week between Christmas and New Year's is a perfect time to work on little projects like this. I'm kind of taking it easy this week. Little easy things that just maintenance things that need to be done. And we can start the new year without having these projects looming. There, look at that. All right, number 2 done. That's not too bad. This looks like it's the smallest of all the root balls. Oh man, we have a lot of soil left. Maybe there's something else we can repot in here. Yeah, let's repot this Mangave. This is a catch-a-wave right here. It looks like it could use it. I've got a terracotta pot at the end of this table. We're just gonna move our operation down there so we don't have to lift it again. So we're going to cut the pot off of the root ball here because I don't want to damage any of the leaves and I don't know how root bound it is. And I'm also using just regular potting mix because they tend to dry out really super fast here for us. 1, because I'm using terracotta, and 2, we have very dry heat. So if I use regular potting mix, I can go a little bit further between waterings. And that's what I did with the Aztec Kings, which I have behind me here, and they stayed outside all summer and they did beautifully. So that is my reasoning for that. So let's cut this off. Ooh, oh, please don't have broken your leaves. Did you break leaves? Did I break your leaves? No, I didn't. Oh, good. Okay. Okay, so now we can use our pot as our guide here. Okay, container has been prepped. So all we have to do is just take a look at this root ball and then slide it down in the hole that we've created. The reason why it's nice to do potting this way for some things, I don't do this for everything, is that, I mean, these are so pokey and they're a little bit rigid. The leaves are rigid. So getting underneath it to pack in fresh soil, if there's any space left over, it's really hard. So I like to do it this way for this type of thing and cacti and things like that. Take a look at this root ball. It is pretty root bound, so I'm going to just fluff up the bottom a little bit. And this particular variety of Mangave, the catch-a-wave, we've grown for a couple of years now, and it grows, it says 10 inches tall. It's taller than 10 inches and up to 20 inches wide, which I have seen them get quite large. Look at that. Just nest right down in that hole we created. And we don't really even have to do anything. What I'll do is get a bit of water over here just to kind of help settle everything together. But that is it. Oh, I love that. But these are a zone 9 through 11, so they do not survive our zone 6 winters. I did have another catch-a-wave. It was the one that had the huge tall bloom spike on it in here that we've since got rid of those plants because we have so many other Mangaves and I already had one here. Once the Mangaves push a bloom spike, typically what they say you can do is cut the bloom spike because the mother plant starts to die at that point. And it can be a slow death. You might get several months out of the plant after that point. But if you cut the bloom spike out and your plant isn't sending energy into that, it will send energy into producing pups or little baby plants around the perimeter of the mother plant. So you can harvest those later after they've developed a little bit. So anyway, that's kind of how that goes. Hopefully this one doesn't want to automatically start blooming on us. That looks really good though. Looks much better than all crammed in this pot. Good way to use our extra soil too. I'm giving it a little bit more water than I normally would, just because it's the first time watering it in this container. But mangaves are a lot more forgiving in the watering department than you might think. They're not like an agave. If you've grown agaves before, you can actually treat these a little bit more like a hosta, but they can take real low water as well. All right. Okay, we're done here in the greenhouse. Our Acarus and Carex will be so much happier. So the Acarus grass right here, I've got it planted underneath our ash tree up front as well as on the west side. And it kind of grows up in these iris-esque clumps. I don't know if I could, yeah. If you can see right here, it kind of like comes out in fans like that, but they don't get massive. I want to say that they'll grow like, oh, I don't know, 12 to 18 inches tall and about that wide. And I like just the brightness. There's a little bit of yellow in each one of the leaves. You can see that kind of yellow stripe with the green stripe in there. They're just a beautiful accent grass that I find incredibly versatile. Really tough to use in, you know, full sun up to pretty shady areas. They do spread by rhizome, but incredibly slow. In fact, I have had the same Acarus grass up in the corner of our house on the west side. Kind of among some black pearl heuchera. That's a beautiful combination, by the way. The contrast is just beautiful. And they have not spread at all. They're just staying exactly where I put them. Now, we don't have like super duper, you know, wet soil all the time. We do have a drip system running through that area, but even with the drip, it's not encouraging these grasses to grow. So that's how slowly they spread. It's not a scary one, I promise. Well, at least not for us here. I promise nothing. And I think they're a zone 5 through 10 or 5 through 11, something like that. And then this one grass here is a Carex called Evergold. And I really like these two. Again, a very versatile one for shade to sun. I find that they do best in like half and half, kind of like part shade, part sun. They tend to look the most fresh. And these are a zone 5 through 9, and they just come up in these really nice, like 12 to 16, 18 inch clumps. Just nice, big, kind of rounded clumps. And they're low maintenance, and they are evergreen. The Acarus is a semi-evergreen, so I find that with that one, I usually have to cut it back in the spring to get nice, fresh-looking growth. With the Carex, during mild winters, like the winter we're having right now, the Carex that I have outside, I likely won't have to do much cleaning up, maybe just the bottom leaves around the base of the plant, but the rest usually stays really nice. When we have a harder winter, I might need to cut them back all the way, in which case that's totally fine. They just grow back nice and fresh. And there's a backed up look at our Mangave, which looks so much more appropriate in that pot than in its little plastic one. So much better. We've got 5 more Mangaves. I really should prioritize getting some pots for those as well. But the next thing on our list is to water in the studio, which means I need to run to the house to get my big blue watering can, and I do need to water a couple containers that are right underneath the patio area because we're at about the 2-week mark from when I did it last time. The forecast said it was supposed to be nonstop moisture today, and look at it. It's beautiful. The sun is even trying to peek through here and there. I'll take it. Next couple of days are supposed to be rain snow mix. Yeah, look at this. You can really see why we are talking about replacing this brick walkway. It's just caving in the center. It's a complete pond. And there's a couple other spots. Oh, there's Douglas. Hey, Douglas. You having a little nap? Gotta have some pets. Yeah. He loves this spot. You're a good boy. Yeah. Okay, here's our watering can. Hey, chicken. Oh, hey, chickens. Plural. Are you all underneath that shrub? Hey, what are you girls doing? Hi, chickens. They're like, what are you doing? You're messing with us. Got some little birds up in the viburnum. Task at hand. I'm walking over here to the frost-free water source. Oh, look at this. Look at this color. Look at the salvia, this Jupiter spirit or red valerian. There's some acarus right there. Take a look while this is filling. Oh, that fills really fast. Yeah, look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? So this hasn't been in the ground for very long. This right here on this end, I planted this year, but from here over, all the rest of the acarus I planted when we did the shade garden, which was like 2 years ago. Oh, now you're following me. I could hear you back there. Hey, chickens. Hey, girls. Okay. Oh gosh, just chicken poop everywhere, you guys. Ugh. These are the pots for watering. The ones that are underneath the overhang. They don't look overly dry, which is good. Just about that much. Okay, we'll water our boxwoods. I did get a new mat for our door. Ours was so torn up. No worries, Douglas. I'm not going to give you water. Okay, and you can see how much moisture these have gotten. Anything that's got soil that's exposed is doing real well. I actually walked around and checked all of the planters yesterday just to see how they were doing because my timer or my alarm went off to go check them. And I noticed that just the ones under the portico or the porch rather needed a little bit. That's why I brought the watering can over and then I just didn't get to it. So we can check that chore off the list. But I use this to water the studio. I fill this up outside, then I take it in and then I fill my little watering can that I prefer to water with for little stuff a bunch of times just from this one. A little bit of snow left. I usually have to fill this 3 or 4 times to hit the whole studio. I really like the size of this one when I'm outside because I can carry a lot of water. This is a 3-gallon size, I think, right? Or close to 3-gallon. But when I'm inside watering small plants especially, I prefer this one so much more. So it works out really well. Just to fill this one up and use this as my water source, and then I just fill this up a bunch of times. I'm gonna clean up my spill. I'll probably spill again, but I don't want water to sit on this wood. Oh my goodness, these plants needed it, but they're all watered now. Here's just kind of a quick look at what we've got in here at the moment. We've got a fig tree, which I actually rooted these. They were cuttings from another fig tree we had. And then we've got a whole bunch of other things that we've worked on together. We've got this anthurium, which we potted, I think this spring, or maybe it was last winter. I can't remember. This rickrack cactus we potted together. There's some other kind of random things down in there. Ooh, amaryllis that needs to be groomed. That one will probably bloom like Valentine's or something. Over here we have our sago palm, which I bought last winter after we were in San Diego. And of course, when we got home, I had to go find some kind of a plant that looked like where we had just been. I was so inspired seeing all of those plants in their native environment looking so beautiful. And it's hanging out, doing well. We've just got a bunch of other things. We've actually got some things that moved with us from our old house, like this Dracaena, which has got a really nice long stalk, a little poof at the top, like a palm tree. And this cactus, this old man cactus, which fell at one point and got a little cut on the side, but it's just rocking. We've got just a little bit of this and that. This cactus arrangement I made in our old house, in our townhouse. And it's still going for it. We've got some violets starting to bloom. We've got our fern arrangement that we made for our dining room table last winter. Look at the bloom on this one. Oh my gosh, so pretty. And we've got a bunch of cactus and succulents that I like to use in mixed arrangements. So it's nice to have backstock here to pull from when I'm ready to do one of those. Bunch of supplies. There's our new seed library that's so pretty. I just love it. I want to rearrange this whole area a little bit. Find some spots for, because you know, I've just got like products, like different things on my grow lights, which I'm going to need to use those here pretty quick. So I'm going to have to figure out where to put those. We've got our pansy and viola seeds right in here. Just some other containers, planters, and such. So we do need to spend some time in here doing some cleanup and reorganize, but I've got to figure out like some kind of a shelving system and where I can put it, where it's kind of out of the way, where I can store some of these things. When you like to do lots of craft projects and garden projects, and you like to start new things like different hobbies, I just got an embroidery machine that I'm so excited about. So I spent the better part of like 2 to 3 hours last night setting it up and trying to learn. It was like a new language to me, learning how to use it. I did get 1 monogrammed napkin out of the whole time last night and 2 broken needles, but I was able to like troubleshoot the machine and figure out what I was doing wrong. Anyway, all those extra things that you're interested in and hobbies that you take up, it just takes up more space because a lot of times it seems like all the hobbies that I want to take up include lots of like supplies, knitting, you gotta have a bunch of yarn, craft projects, gardening, all those things just take a lot of supplies, and you don't want to throw things away. You want to have things in the wings. So anyway, I got to figure out what we need to do in here to make it a little bit better. But let's go in and give this orange pound cake a try. We can just pretend that the oranges came from our citrus trees in the greenhouse, not straight from the bin at the grocery store. Okay, so I just preheated the oven to 350 degrees. Now we're going to grease and flour a 9x5-inch loaf pan. I'm using a nice generous amount of butter and a little bit of flour. Next, we're going to make our orange infused sugar. Doesn't that sound delicious? The recipe calls for the zest off of 2 full oranges or 2 tablespoons of orange zest. I zested 4 oranges because I felt like that was closer to the 2 tablespoon mark. And then we add in 1 1/4 cup of sugar and just mix that up. You can use your fingers and just like kind of squish it into the sugar and just thoroughly blend it. I'm using a fork just to fluff it around. It smells so good. We're going to set that aside and get our dry ingredients measured out. So I'm going to spoon flour into a 1 cup measuring cup and level it off. We'll do that twice, so we end up with 2 cups of flour. We're going to add in 1 1/2 teaspoons of baking powder and a 1/2 teaspoon of fine sea salt. And then I just use the same fork that I used for the sugar to fluff those dry ingredients together. And then I decided that I need the big bowl that the flour's in, so I needed to transfer that into a smaller bowl. And then into the big bowl, I put in 1 cup of butter. It needs to be softened, and mine was not, so I just popped it in the microwave for 20 seconds, and that was kind of perfect. And to that softened butter, we're going to add our sugar, and then I'm going to use the hand mixer to mix it all together until it's nice and fluffy. Recipe calls for like 3 to 5 minutes of this. I definitely stayed on the lower end of that, probably about 2 to 3 minutes. The mixture is looking really nice, so now we're going to add in 3 large eggs, 1 at a time. And after each addition, I'll mix it thoroughly here with my spatula. Then I'm going to add in 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract, a 1/4 cup of sour cream that's at room temp, and then also we're going to use some of the oranges that we got zest from earlier, and we're going to juice, well, it took me 1 full orange to get a 1/4 cup of orange juice. So we'll add that in and mix it all together. And this is all of our wet ingredients right here. Now we're gonna take our dry ingredients and add in about half, mix it thoroughly and gently. We don't wanna overmix. And then I'll add in the second half and mix it again. Now we can pour it into our prepared loaf pan, and we're gonna bake at 350 degrees for 55 to 65 minutes. Mine definitely took 65 minutes. I put a piece of foil over the top of it at about the 45-minute mark so it didn't get too brown. But we just wanna make sure that a skewer inserted into the loaf comes out clean. Okay, so I've set it on this cooling rack even though it's already cooled, but this will catch all of the excess glaze. It got a little bit brown around the edges, like up top, even though I put a foil over it, but that's typical of my oven. So I'm used to that. And a little bit sunk in the middle, but I don't know if that's typical of pound cake or if it usually puffs up or not. I don't know. It seems completely done. It smells amazing. So now we're gonna make our glaze, which is really simple. 1 cup of powdered sugar, and we're gonna do like a teaspoon-ish of orange zest. You can do as much as you want. I'm gonna be careful. You can't go too deep past the outer part of the rind here, or peel, whatever.
I washed my hands.
Did you wash your hands? Okay. Yep, you can touch it.
Oh, this is like biggest. This is big. Now watch this.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
I can lift it up.
Yeah. You gonna want to try a piece?
This is really big. Are you making bananas?
Nope, nope, it's an orange loaf, babe. Oh, how'd the sticker end up there? Huh.
Orange. He's a nugget orange. He's a nugget
Okay.
orange.
Can you see that? There's our orange zest on the powdered sugar. And now we're gonna squeeze in about 2 to 3 tablespoons of orange juice, right? Straight from our orange. Less if you want the glaze to be thicker, more if you like it a little runnier. I like mine to be on the thick side. So I'm gonna start small and we can add more if we need to. I'll get you closer. That looks about perfect right there. Look at that. All right, you guys, look at this. Look at how pretty that is. Oh my goodness. So now we need to cut into it and taste it. Look at how beautiful. Oh. Okay, I'm gonna cut one more piece so I can eat the non-heel piece of it. It looks gorgeous. I always have to taste everything in the Hartley because it always tastes better in here. Also, the lighting is much better out here. Doesn't that look delicious? I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's definitely dense, but it's a pound cake. So, I mean, it doesn't look like it's unevenly baked. It looks really even in that department. So I'm really happy with that. So now we need to try a bite. I'm gonna try a bite of it without the glaze so I can see the sweetness level first. That's good. I'm really happy that I put the amount of zest in here. I feel like I could even put more, or possibly like that tablespoon of vanilla. You could do like half a tablespoon of vanilla and half a tablespoon of orange extract. That would be really good just to make it more punchy, but there's just enough of that orange flavor to make you want to come back. And I think that's important too sometimes. Sometimes you don't want it to be overly like in your face, if that makes sense. So now we're gonna have a bite with the glaze. Oh. Oh, scratch all the little adjustments I just told you. With the glaze, it's perfect. So good, you guys. Oh. So good. See him out there? I don't think that this recipe needs to be changed at all. Perfect as is. And I would like to get my hands on a regular orange tree. The blood orange tree is going to be really fun. I hope it comes out of whatever it's doing there in the greenhouse. But I would like to amp up the variety of citrus that we have in there, because they tend to do so well. Like, they are so productive in that spot in the greenhouse. I don't know what it is about that spot. But if we can get an orange tree in there and just some other things and maybe some different varieties of that, I would love it. And then maybe one day we can make our orange pound cake with our own oranges. There's nothing like it, you guys. Like, the lemons we get off of our lemon, they are like no other store lemon you could ever buy. And I hadn't ever really experienced that. For those of you who live where you can grow lemons in the ground, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. But for a person who's bought lemons at a grocery store for her whole life, it's completely different when you can harvest it off of your own tree. And I don't feel that way about all things. Like potatoes, I don't notice any difference between the ones I grow in my ground and the ones I buy at the grocery store, because usually when I'm growing or making potatoes, we're adding in butter, we're adding in cream cheese, we're adding in herbs, you know, rosemary and garlic and stuff. I don't know, maybe if I did a taste test without adding a bunch of stuff, maybe I could tell a difference. But there are just some things that there's just not that much difference. But citrus, definitely a difference. So anyway, guys, that is it for today's projects. What a relaxing afternoon. Just little things that I need to get done. It does take a little bit of pressure off knowing that those plants are in their own containers now. We do still have a garden cart full of plants we need to repot out in the high tunnel. We'll do that a different day. But just checking those things off is so nice. Studio being watered is great. I watered the Hartley earlier this morning. And then the orange pound cake, what a fun recipe. So it's on our website called Mom on Timeout. And I'll try to remember to link it down below, but it's just Mom on Timeout, orange pound cake. Everything I have made from this woman's website is awesome. Like, I don't know if her palette just matches mine, but they're always really good. And there's a lot of really easy stuff. Like, it's not, I mean, there are some fancy recipes, but it's just like good solid food to make for your family. And I appreciate that sometimes when it's like using a lot of staples. Actually, I appreciate that most of the time. That's how I want to cook. Using staples from our pantry, don't need any fancy ingredients, all that kind of thing. So anyway, definitely give this a shot. I think you guys will love it. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you're having a great day, and we will see you in the next video.